Oh, what it do, you dirty babies? Oh, my. It's Tuesday. And since it's Tuesday, we're doing a TikTok Tuesday. TikTok Trash Tuesdays. You know me in alliteration. I'm never going to be stopped with that. It's just what we do over here. Welcome back. If you are new here, here at HMP, we just do all kinds of movie stuff. This, that, and everything. And frankly, I'm not going to lie to you folks. I need some free, cheap content. And when I need cheap, free content, I go to TikTok. That's right. TikTok is a place where everybody can go and spread their little tiny opinions, no matter how bad or stupid they are, myself included. So today, we're going to take a look at a whole bunch of TikToks that really have to do with movies. Now, we could go and do all kinds of other TikTok stuff, but I decided we're going to keep it to the realm of movies, and I'll tell you exactly how I go about getting these. I just get them by scrolling, baby. I scroll just like everybody else. And when I see something that is movie related that I feel like has even an inkling worth of a discussion for it, I save that bad boy. I send it to, I put that in the little, the photos section of the iPhone there. And then when it's time, I send all of those to the computer, pop them out, just edit the volume, make sure everything's correct. And then we're going to come back here and we're going to watch those videos, and then we're going to make fun of people. I say make fun of people. We might be making fun of them. We might be cheering them on or agreeing. I don't know. Like I said, these videos, I haven't watched them all the way through, so I have no clue what they are. I just know that they should be entertaining, or at least that's ultimately the goal. And like everything, the goal is ultimately then to just kind of keep dragging more stuff from other things, repurposing that, try to get this out here. So instead of, streaming to 0 people, I'm streaming to a handful of people. So I'd like to do all that. And I can do that by you liking and subscribing this bad boy. It's really easy, super simple. Even if you're doing it after the fact, throw a big old giant thumbs up on that. Really would make my day. And also leave a comment. Comments are a big stupid thing. I don't know what it is about YouTube, but they like all of the things. They want the trifecta. They want the like, the subscribe, and the comment. They want all this stuff. They're greedy. They're a greedy mistress, that YouTube. So do me a favor, won't you? And, drop your name on that, man. I really appreciate you. And all you fine folks. And, of course, patreon.com/HMP, pre-show, post-show, dinger zone. And we're still getting people signing up for Patreon, which is great because you get a little bit more of the stuff. And we like putting out a little bit of extra stuff for you guys as well. But, man, again, if you can't do that, at least just like and subscribe. Do all that kind of good stuff. And tell your friends. Honestly, we put together enough of a program between all the things that we do, and not enough people like us. Not enough people are watching for the quality of product that we're putting out here. And I'll put my name to that. I'll take the Pepsi challenge. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. Most of it is absolutely garbage, especially comparatively for what they're receiving be what they do. But hopefully we'll rise to the measure for you fine folks today. So do us a big giant favor, like and subscribe. Get this bad boy out to more people. And let me know if you can hear things in the chat, since we do have a couple people getting in now. You never really can tell how well the audio is or is not doing within a live show and stuff as well. And so I'm going to call out, as I do every stream, as I will continue to do every stream, especially since I pay for the bloody thing. StreamYard. Why do I not have audio monitors to let me know what audio is being sent out, what it kind of sounds like, what the levels are going out to the people? Why is that not a thing? Scratch your noggin on that one, kids. So we are in July now, everybody. Is the 4th of July coming up. And as you can see here, I've got my Bucky's 4th of July t-shirt. We got a little stuffed Bucky here back in his, what I'm going to call Apollo Creed wear. Very nice, very hip, very swank. Listen, man, we're not always the best all the time, but I would rather be nowhere else but America. I mean, look at this. I got Diet Coke in my hand. That's as America as it gets. All right. Well, let's get into it. We got a whole boatload of TikToks here to play. Hopefully I won't be on too long with it like I was last time, because it was rough. It was almost 2 hours worth of material here, and I don't think
this video is for Amazon MGM Studios.
Hey, hold on, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. You wait till I'm ready, lady. Holy smokes! All right, let's get into it. Movie TikTok reaction time. Oh boy. And again, let me know how well things sound.
This video is for Amazon MGM Studios, Josh Gad, Mel Brooks, and
We all good? Hopefully we're all good. We'll go back one more time. Just again, want to make sure everything sounds good. And it will make it easier to edit later. Here we go.
This video is for Amazon MGM Studios, Josh Gad, Mel Brooks, and Rick Moranis, and everyone else involved in the making of Spaceballs 2, whether or not whatever you're titling it. I don't know.
Oh man. Yeah, I've talked about the Spaceballs 2. We had I don't even think I watched the teaser trailer. I didn't even watch that. I'm not even bothering to do that. I want another Spaceballs. I'd love to see Mel Brooks go out with one more banger of a film. I just don't think we're going to be able to do that with Josh Gad being anywhere near that movie.
Know yet. This is my $10 gift card that I won at my local library's Spaceballs trivia night.
Okay.
This is my Spaceballs the button. This is my high school yearbook quote,
Lord.
which I will now read to you. It says, "Who knows? God willing, we'll all see each other again in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money." And below, you'll find my username, which is Gone to Plaid.
She should have said that was the chair squeaking back on the floor. Come on now.
If this movie makes me sad in any way, I will.
She's passionate. You leave her be.
Please do it. Please do good. Mel Brooks, I have no doubts about you, baby girl. Love you. Bye.
No doubt. See, exactly. She said it without actually saying it, didn't she? She said, Mel Brooks, I got no worries about you. You're going to be A-okay, Mel Brooks. You know who's not going to be A-okay? You know it. I know it. We all know it. It's Josh Gad. Josh Gad is going to screw this up, and it's going to make that terrible. And you mark my words. Unfortunately, Mel Brooks will either go during the production of the film, and then Josh Gad has to finish everything. Or worse than yet, Josh Gad will just be there, and everything that he adds to the film will just make you want to jump out of building. Thanks, Josh Gad. What's next?
Why are studios building more soundstage?
It's producer Patrick, everybody. This should be interesting. I always like keeping up with all the LA stuff. There's a lot of things going on in the production world. LA says they want to get back into the Hollywood business, but is it too little, too late?
In LA when there's no work. Follow the permits, not the pitch decks. Hi, it's producer Patrick bringing you the latest in the ever-evolving film and TV industry. Soundstage construction is booming across Los Angeles, even though a ton of them are sitting empty.
Which is hilarious. I mean, and honestly, it's about as California as you get if you're honest with yourselves here. It's like, hey, no one's occupying the sound stages we got. You know what'll help that? Build more sound stages. Surely that'll get people to start filing in. Yeah.
So why keep building these sound stages? Because it's not just about making shows. It's about playing the long game with real estate. Much of LA's studio land is zoned exclusively for film production. And those zoning laws? Well, they're ancient. Part of deals made between studios and the city to lock in Hollywood as the capital of film.
And yet, what do they do to keep them there? Nothing. And here's the deal, man. All of the big giant incentives and everything that they're saying, hey, here's what we're going to give California. We're going to get the California, movie business back on track. Here's all the incentives that we've got. Well, the problem is you're also California, so your prices for everything that you're going to be doing is going to be, 2 to 3 times higher than it would be anywhere else. So your tax breaks are nice and everything, but if the price of all the goods and services are already 2 to 3 times as much as you'd be paying anywhere else, again, I ask you, why would you shoot in California?
But here's the new move. Housing developers are buying up.
We're just going to put homeless people in them, see?
These properties, like the former Warner Brothers and Paramount lots. But why would developers want to build sound stages? Because if the production doesn't show up, they can claim losses as write-offs and
oh my God, that sounds about right. Again, Hollywood playing the dumb game here. Instead of trying to figure out everything, they try to figure out legal loopholes so they can just go like, well, we're not going to get, instead of actually coming up with ideas, instead of actually doing anything, you just go like, well, if we play funky with the taxes, then that'll be fine.
Start the process to rezone, and that opens the door to build what they really want: offices and apartments. According to BizNow,
I told you they're going to put homeless people in them.
now in the LA Business Journal, this isn't a theory, it's happening.
A game theory.
And if you look closely, the stages that are now being built are stacked with office space and super modular. And these new sound stages can easily be modified into apartments or commercial businesses.
Which they will promptly be in a year. I don't know. I don't know how Hollywood's hanging on at this point.
Perfect for a future flip. Hollywood's newest export isn't content, it's a rezoning strategy.
Jeez, that's pathetic, dude.
As always, would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts are that they don't know what they're doing, man. They have no idea what they're doing over there. And I mean, I guess this is a smart play in a way, just because they know ultimately that it's not going to end up being that. So they're just basically building, big giant empty boxes and everything, calling it a loss, and then ended up selling those, trying to get more money in the real estate market afterwards. I mean, I understand the move, but it is not a move that's going to save Hollywood in any way, shape, or form. Let's go.
I don't think you realize the difference between your local hometown IMAX screen and the IMAX screen of the Holy Land that is AMC Lincoln Square.
First of all, I'm tired of you Lincoln Square people all just kind of kissing your own butts over there. Real tired of it. Anyways, I have been to a real IMAX theater here and everything. Let's figure out what his differences are. The IMAX theater that I went to, the one that's closest to me, the actual proper IMAX and everything, not the faux max. There's plenty of those around. Lord knows you can throw a brick and hit a faux max screen these days. But outside of Atlanta, Georgia is where their at the Mall of Georgia is where their IMAX screen is in 70 millimeter. Been there a couple of times to see what was it? I saw Oppenheimer there for sure. I saw the third Batman film there. Any Nolan film for the most part, save for a couple of ones. I wish I could have seen some of the others, but it's a 4-hour trip to Atlanta, so it's a long time. But let's see what this guy goes, and he's going to be talking about the Lincoln Square one, and I'm going to at least compare that to the one in the Mall of Georgia.
In New York City. The difference in size is unbelievable. You gotta look at this. I promise it's gonna blow your mind. If you're prepping to buy movie tickets for Superman or Fantastic Four and you want to go see it in IMAX, lock in. Before I went to
Lock in, you so-and-sos.
AMC Lincoln Square for the first time, I found this graphic on Twitter and it got me really interested.
Okay, let me take a little look-see at this. I'm going to move towards the monitor because I'm blind as a bat, so give me a break. Okay. I would say, if I'm to venture a guess, I would say the Mall of Georgia is probably in this second little thing here. It's probably not as big as the giant AMC in Lincoln Square. Congratulations, it's super big. But it's definitely up there. It's a big one.
Starting at the bottom, you have the average multiplex screen size, nothing to write home about. Step it up a little bit with Sheepshead Bay. And then you look in the orange, right? It says AMC 34th Street. It says 54
I love the New York specificity. I'm like, hey, for the 5 theaters that we got, listen up, eh?
by 30. When I first saw that one, I'm like, oh, all of these still seem pretty small to me, right? But then I saw people in that same Twitter thread talking about LF Examiner, and apparently it's the Journal of Giant Screen Film Industry. And I find out that that orange marker is my hometown IMAX screen. Whenever I go there, I'm hype, I'm loving it, but that's not real IMAX. I've always known that it's not real IMAX, and I didn't realize the difference until I finally went. Do you fucking see how big AMC Lincoln Square is? It is the size of the entire screen. It's 97 by 76. Before I went, I couldn't even fathom that size difference. It's literally 3 or 4 times the size bigger than my hometown screen. I'm so fucking mad at myself for not seeing Oppenheimer and Interstellar on this bitch, bro. I was going to movies my entire life, living an hour away from the premier movie theater maybe in the world, and I didn't go. This theater is so massive that you have to...
Honestly, this is one of the most hilarious things about people in New York, some in California, but definitely most New York, is just like, there's so many options that, like, even an hour away where he could, like he just said, he could drive an hour and go to literally the best experience, arguably, within the country and everything. and yet it's just like blinders. Amazing.
To take multiple escalators to get up to the floor within the AMC that specifically has the IMAX theater. It's got its own floor.
Which one got the Dunkin' on it?
Bro, its own concession stand. It is on the tippity top. I mean, look at this shit, bro. You have full ass IMAX stadium seating in here. There are 600 seats.
I mean, that looks about, I gotta be honest, looks close to the Mall of Georgia, at least as far as that size goes. I mean, it looks, I mean, again, I don't know. I ain't never been to one outside the one I've been to, but close?
Seats in this theater. That is nuts. So, of course, after I saw all of this shit, I had to go see Dune Part 2 for like the 4th time in the AMC Lincoln Square Theater. It was a borderline religious experience. You know what? No, it actually was. It was a religious experience. Believe the hype of the mass.
I got taken away. The Lord took me away when Paul Atreides went across on that little worm, man. I tell you, it's like the good Lord took me into heaven. Thank you, Jesus.
IMAX theaters. There's probably one near you. If you live in the New York area, Jersey, Connecticut, whatever, you have to go to AMC Lincoln Square. Just trust me on this one.
Hey, if any of those people want to, send me up there, I will. I will go and report back. All right. Let's see what we got. What's next?
So AMC recently started to put little warnings saying that a film itself won't actually start till about 25 to 30 minutes after its showtime.
This is always a bone of contention with a lot of folks. I've kind of expressed some of my thoughts on it. Let's see what supposedly AMC's cooking up now.
Okay, like I didn't already know that, but you know what? I'm still going to show up 30 minutes before the showtime because...
Okay. What are we doing? What are we doing, man? Listen, back in the day, I was a person who would show up early. I liked showing up early. I liked being exactly where I wanted to be in a theater. It was of the utmost importance to me. However, in the time with which we are in, where you can actually just get your seat ahead of time and know exactly where you're going to be sitting, you can wait 10, 15 minutes. You can wait up to the actual hour. If it starts at 7 o'clock, you can be there at 7 o'clock. You can walk in at 7:15. You're still going to have your exact spot and everything. I don't know why this is difficult, but he wants to be there still an extra half hour early. Well, I'm sure that'll always work out great.
I want to know what's movie with Maria Menounos.
Oh, my God. No, Maria Menounos. What are you doing? What's wrong with you? With the laugh and everything? You want more Maria Menounos? When I was working in the theater, man, let me tell you, that was a plague, dude. You tried to clean that theater before Maria Menounos' ass got back on that screen and scared the hell out of you. Hell no, dude. Maria Menounos, get out of here, dude. And I can say that now because she got over the brain tumor.
I want to know what Perry Nemiroff is up to. What's next? You're going to tell me to come in after the guy dance battle?
Oh, no, God, no. Oh, we're talking about Perry too? I swear to God, if you say Straw Hat Goofy, I'm going to jump through this internet.
His date for a Coca-Cola, and then that turns into a high-speed chase, which turns into a romantic date at a movie theater. Like, be so serious, AMC. I'm not even going to risk missing the Nicole Kidman at where she tells us.
I now we're starting to feel like this is a little bit of satire, my friend. I feel like we're dipping our toes into the satire land. What is this?
This is going to take us to places we've never been before, and then she shows us a clip of Avatar, which we've been to multiple times at this.
Apparently they were trying to do an update in that Nicole Kidman ad and everything, but didn't happen yet. And they said that they were going to do it like 3 years ago. And I don't know. I think Nicole Kidman can only be out of the cryogenic freezer for about 45 minutes, each week. So be judicious with your time, people.
This point, and are going to be there for at least 3 more sequels. The audacity to suggest that we missed this is. I am incredulous. This is something that we know, but we do not speak of, AMC. Anyways, if you come in 30 minutes after the showtime, you're lame.
I'm lame. Yeah, right. Get out of here, dude.
So Screen Rant posted a list about 5 days ago of 10 old school kung fu movies that will make you fall in love with the genre.
All right, this is one of my favorite TikTok guys. He knows a lot about the martial arts movies. Makes me look like a newbie. Let's see what we got.
Genre. So let's see what Screen Rant or Stephen Holland here has to
Stephen Holland about to get a new one, I think.
say. At number 10, they've got King Boxer, aka Five Fingers
one.
of Death. Now, this is one of the most important
Very
kung
good.
fu films of all time. It's one of the first ones to break into the West. However,
And it has that nice, big tournament style there and everything. And then you got the old, I think Jimmy Wang Yu, if I'm not mistaken, got the gold, the glowing hands and whatnot. Cool stuff.
I would not put this on this list. I would not show this to somebody to introduce them to kung fu movies and hope they fall in love with the genre. No.
I can get that.
But because I know that there's one thing that's really lacking on this list, that's Sammo Hung movies, I'm going to go ahead and swap this out with an early one since we're going to the 70s and say Magnificent Butcher.
That's a good
or
one.
Warriors 2 or Odd Couple. Kind of difficult. They're all great. Number 9, we have Clan of the White Lotus. Lo Lie, who plays the main character in the last movie, is back as the director and plays Pai Mei in this one. I believe this is the...
Wait a minute, man. Pai Mei's from a Quentin Tarantino film, man. What the hell happened with this? What is this? What is this? I don't understand. Did these guys steal it from Tarantino? Did they go back to 1980 and steal Tarantino stuff from 2002?
A sequel to Executioners of Shaolin. I love this movie. We've already got plenty of Gordon Liu later on in the list, so I'm going to go ahead and replace this one.
There's more Gordon Liu with...
Let's replace this one with Prodigal Son. That feels right. Number 8, Five Deadly Venoms. This is acceptable. However, I feel like it must be said for people, this is not a hardcore martial arts kung fu fight heavy film. This is much more...
not. For his name as Five Deadly Venoms, for as badass as it sounds, it could be a lot better, that movie. I mean, I get it for what it is, but you think oh, dude, this is going to be, and it's not.
A mystery with a little bit of kung fu, especially one big fight scene at the end.
Yeah.
So don't go.
And by the end, you're already just geez, I'm so tired, bro. Or are we done? Okay, good. We're done.
When thinking it's wall-to-wall fight scenes. I love this movie. It is truly essential. Five Deadly Venoms are very important in kung fu history, but you need to know that going in. Crippled Avengers, again, carrying on the
I don't think I've seen
Five Deadly Venoms theme here. We have 5 of the Venoms returning for this, as well as introducing the excellent Quan Tai Chen as the villain. This is great. We've got the more Venoms films, so the Venoms carried on into several different films, playing different roles, different stories. This is much more action-packed. This is much more fun. It's a bit sillier, probably a bit more offensive, if I had to guess.
What?
But the final fight scene is one of the most fun fight scenes in all of kung fu history.
It's one
Number
I've heard of.
6, we have One Armed Swordsman.
So good.
No, I would not show this to somebody to get.
Maybe he's right to get people in. It's a good movie, but to get people in, what's his argument? Let's hear it out.
Get them into kung fu to make them fall in love with the genre. This movie is immensely boring, even as a kung fu fan. Chang Che was not hitting with this one for me. This is it's the 60s. A lot of things changed from the 60s to
it's a little slow, but it is kind of it's the story, really.
70s. It's boring. I hate it. It's bad. I understand why people love it. Not me. Let's replace this with Heroes 2. So this will introduce you to Quan Tai Chen as a hero, as well as Alexander Fu Shang.
Okay.
Alexander Fu Shang, very big name in kung fu cinema. Check it out. Lady Snowblood is good.
Yeah.
I think this is a solid recommendation.
Especially, like he said, I think especially if you're getting into kung fu films and everything, and if you've seen Tarantino's, Kill Bill and whatnot, you're obviously going to get all the interesting references here. And I think if you watch this, having had seen Kill Bill and everything, you'll get those references. And this can be something that will then kind of get those wheels turning as far as thinking about kung fu movies and stuff like that, to go ooh, what else is he kind of taken from? What are other people doing and stuff like that? It can really help start branching out those ideas. I think Lady Snowblood is a very fantastic place to start that.
It's probably a little slow. It is what inspired Kill.
He's not wrong. It is slow, though. It's definitely slow, but the cool moments that are in there that are iconic, it's worth the wait.
Kill Bill. I don't know if I would show this to somebody just getting into the genre. I would probably go with, if we're going to go with a
they got to get into it a little
lead, I would
bit.
say the Angela Mao film The Tournament or Hapkido. Number 4, of course, we have Jackie
Come on,
Chan's
come
Drunken
on. You
Master,
can't-
directed by
you
Yuen
can't-
Wu
you
Ping.
can't.
This is truly a classic. It is great. It is a wonderful introduction to some old school Jackie Chan
I feel like he's going to do like everybody else does and say Drunken Master 2. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think Drunken Master 2's as good. I think it's good. I think it's a very great movie. I think the action is way bigger and better and everything. But does that make for anything? I don't know.
80s Jackie Chan. I like it. However, of course, because I'm me, I will always say I do prefer Fearless Hyena. Number 3, the
Fearless Hyena's funny. I don't know if it's as funny as Drunken Master, though. We both did Furious Hyena. I think it's Furious Hyena we did. I forget which one. We did a couple. We did a few of those back in our Jackie Chan month on the podcast, so go check that out.
Dagger and Pole Fighter.
Got that one.
Couldn't agree more. I love it.
It's good.
The Dagger and Pole Fighter is my favorite Shaw Brothers film, and of course we have Lau Kar Lung here. You do have a little bit of Alexander Fusheng. This was Alexander Fusheng's last film before he passed away in a car accident, unfortunately. So he did not finish the film. You also have great Kara Hui, directed by the legend that is Lau Kar Lung. So yes, go watch this movie.
It's fire. And speaking of fire, here we go.
Number 2, they've got 36 Chamber of Shaolin. I mean, yeah, this is one of the quintessential kung fu films. Like, it is one of the...
I saw this with a... it wasn't a theater full, but for what it was, there was a decent amount of people there at the Plaza Theater in Atlanta when I was living there a couple years ago. They were just like, we're showing 36 Chamber of Shaolin. I was like, whoa, get in the car.
most important ones to ever grace the screen. It is great. Again, directed by Lau Kar Lung. Starring Gordon Liu here again. The fight scene, several fight scenes really, with Hoi Song Lee are my favorites, some of my favorites of all time. The storytelling in those fight scenes, it just hits every single beat of an essential kung fu film.
Exactly. It's got all the perfect tropes and everything, going through all the chambers and stuff and showing the different methods of kung fu and everything. There's a lot of really great wide shots and whatnot. You'll notice all of it seriously during the opening and whatnot. And you just go like, oh, it's going to be this kind of film. And it is. It's pretty awesome. Gordon's amazing in it.
Oh, yes, this is some must-watch stuff. Do I think it would make somebody fall in love with the genre?
Maybe.
Yes. And of course, because whoever wrote this article is...
Bruh. Enter the Dragon. Enter the Dragon. How are they going to do this entire list, as diverse as it is, and then land on the most basic answer, Enter the Dragon? You know how I always found like kung fu fans, like martial arts films fans, is when they would tell me that their favorite kung fu film is Enter the Dragon. If you tell me your favorite kung fu movie is Enter the Dragon, I just think that you're, pumpkin spice latte material. It's fine. I like a pumpkin spice latte, don't get me wrong. But you gotta know it about yourself. You gotta know who you are. You gotta know who you are, man.
Is a basic bitch. They put Enter the Dragon
Told you.
number 1. I like it. I don't love it.
Yep.
Of course, I could say
I like it. I love it. I don't want to get copy strike.
go watch Way of the Dragon if you want some Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Because it's way better. But
if I'm going Bruce Lee, I don't know the naming conventions sometimes because they get a little bit funky when it gets to Bruce Lee stuff because they were called different things here in America versus what they were called in Hong Kong. So a couple of them are kind of flip-floppy and whatnot. But essentially, it's the one that it's Fist of Fury. I think it's the one that Jet Li ended up remaking, and everybody remakes because it's a damn good story. That's the only one that's the Bruce Lee movie that I would recommend.
I think we might even be able to do something a little bit more outside of the box. One to make you fall in love with old school kung fu. Let's go The Seven Grandmasters, directed by Joseph Kuo.
Okay.
That one's pretty solid. Again, if you want to stick to Bruce Lee, Way of the Dragon over Enter the Dragon every single day. But let's go outside of the box and say Seven Grandmasters. This list was not bad, but it could use a lot more diversity.
I agree. One of the things that I would suggest for people, and I think is a quite an easy entrance that gets you all of the things that make kung fu films awesome, and the thing that I think that would bring people back to kung fu films again and again would be Iron Monkey from 1990. I want to say it's 3. Directed by Yin Wu Ping, the guy who did all the choreography and stuff for The Matrix and all that kind of good jazz. So you can always get people with that sort of touchstone, so they go like, "Oh, I've got a point of reference. I know where that is," and they'll see that kind of style and go like, "Oh, if we like this, then you'll go over to like this. Oh, then you can go over to like this." It's it builds on it, and then you can get kind of the legend of Wong Fei Hung and that kind of stuff, and introduce you to that character and how that character gets portrayed by everybody from Jet Li to Jackie Chan and on and on and on. But it starts out as this little kid and stuff. So it can really and be like, hey, this little kid is like Wyatt Earp. You know what I mean? Really great way to introduce people in there. And there's a lot of comedy. There's tons and tons of fighting. There's a little kid fighting, for crying out loud. Donnie Yen is in it. It's just a recipe for success, and a movie that I think would get a lot of people into kung fu films if they've never seen one before.
Always ask a man who has...
She is back, ladies and gentlemen, and I've got way more of her in other videos that I will do in other reactions because the TikTok gods have kept throwing her back in my algorithm here and everything. Can't wait to hear it. Director Red Flags.
His favorite movie director is, and I can help you interpret his answer. This is based on 40 years of research, so don't get mad at me. Get mad at the data. If he says John Carpenter, he sends money to cam girls. If
Maybe. I think that's decent. That's decent. Because if John Carpenter's your favorite director, you're a bit of a horror hound. You're probably, probably sitting in a room with a lot of wood paneling. Makes sense.
he says Michael Bay, you're going to have to explain to him why your favorite memes are funny. If he says Tim Burton...
Because Michael Bay fans are stupid. As a Michael Bay fan can confirm.
He's not as weird as you'd think, and your mother's going to end up loving him more than she loves you. If he says Ben Affleck, he's very secure.
I don't know who, like, Ben Affleck would be somebody's favorite director and everything. He's directed some fine films. You got The Town, you got Argo, you got Gone Baby Gone and stuff like that. A fine director. Would anybody say he's their favorite director? Curious.
You might want to find out why. If he says Spike Lee, he tries to make friends with everyone, including baristas and people who sit next to him on...
Disagree.
airplanes. If he says George A. Romero, he moderates a subreddit, has a strong sense of justice, and can tell you just about anything about his favorite heavy metal band. If
1000% correct. That's as dead on as you get. George A. Romero, spot on.
he says George Lucas, he's incredibly loyal but has ugly clothes. If he says
Absolutely. And bad tastes in I don't know. I tried something, damn it. Hey there to you too on Kick. All right. I love to see a couple of Kick things over there, man. Alex, what do you got? The John Carpenter comment hit close to home, as it often would. Makes sense.
Ryan Coogler, his clothes are nicer than yours. If he...
Ooh, that's probably true. If you rocking that Ryan Coogler style, I mentioned it in my Ryan Coogler Criterion Closet commentary. Your boy got expensive clothes.
He says Guillermo del Toro, he's living with a deep fear that he's unlovable and bad on the inside, but he's deeply beautiful and good on the inside.
Is my favorite director Guillermo del Toro? Is that what she's saying?
And if he says John Hughes, it's the opposite. He thinks he's a good person, but he's actually a bad person. Hope this was helpful.
It was helpful. She's got I think she's up to at least part 7 or so at this point, so there'll be more of those coming down the pipe. What's next?
Always ask a man on a first date.
I told you we got a whole bunch. The algo gives and the algo takes, but she gives this week.
Who his favorite movie director is, and I can help you analyze his response. This is based on 40 years of researching the men, so feel free to shout, but know that if you do, you are shouting at science. If he says Steven Soderbergh, he's good at the middle-aged man sports like cornhole, and his good humor and his good sportsmanship when he loses are incredibly hot.
I could see that. I feel like a Steven Soderbergh fan would be somebody that's probably very even-keeled. Yeah. I think I agree with that. But certainly an odd duck. Certainly an odd duck. You don't get to make some of those. You don't get to make movies like Bubble without being a little bit weird.
If he says Clint Eastwood, he throws little tantrums when he loses, and he likes to stay mad for like 3 days after you think an argument has been resolved.
That feels like that was very personal to her. That felt like that hit close to home.
If he says Ron Howard, all his friends are married and he's good at grocery shopping.
And then I went down to the Kroger's.
If he says Wes Craven, he would happily grocery shop at a gas station, and he hasn't been able to cry since his parents got divorced. If he says Jon Favreau, he cries a lot. If he says
That's it. If his favorite director's Jon Favreau, he cries a lot. Moving on.
James Gunn, he likes rocket pops, and he drinks moderately, if at all, even on holidays. If he says Jim Jarmusch, he uses a beard trimmer on his private parts. If he says
Jim Jarmusch fans, are you really that put together downstairs? Is that what's going on? Trimming up the old ghost dog?
Charlie Kaufman, he can only love the idea of you, so don't spend the next 2 years trying to prove to him the vividness of your own experience. And if he says Richard Linklater, do not fall for the magnetism. Get as far away as you can from that insufferable prick. Hope this was helpful.
Boy, Richard Linklater out here catching some strays too, boy. Woo. What next?
The one thing people aren't talking about enough from 28 years later is this very creepy mask. I love its overall aesthetic, and it got me thinking, what are the most underrated masks in horror?
There's a lot of probably overrated for sure, but underrated? Let's see what we got.
Let's run through them. I've always loved this trio from the original Strangers.
Yeah.
A very chic, very modern look.
It was really, really great. It was just kind of this simplistic. It definitely fed into some of the like Insane Clown Posse and stuff that was going on, certainly at that time, or it had been for a while at that particular moment. But I don't know. It's a good one though, and I what an amazing ending to that movie.
Screams we're getting the band back together, and we don't care who knows it. Equally as fashion forward are these masks from the original Purge. It's giving me two faces for the price.
This one, like those masks from the original Purge, I think were probably the best ones. The ones in the sequels and stuff with the kind of light up neon stuff, I think they're cool. I think they're very iconic and stuff like that. But I don't think they're as weird and creepy as these guys right here. The other ones look like they're just kind of people that would rob you. I mean, everybody's trying to rob you and kill you and stuff like that. But you know what I mean. These people are creepy.
Price of one. Jason's look in Friday the 13th Part 2 before he dons the hockey mask is not talked about nearly enough. Vintage, rustic, blue-collar vibes. Shantae.
I like him describing it like it's a fashion show. Rustic, blue-collar vibes coming across in his one eye hole. Watch out for the stage, Jason.
You stay. Fashion should be a form of escapism, not a form of imprisonment. No better example than Vincent from the House of Wax remake.
I gotta watch that movie again, man. I need that. Is that out in 4K? I need that in 4K. I need to see Paris Hilton get just ram a pole through her face in 4K. I feel like that would really make my day. I honestly, I was super sad that while in that movie and stuff, she did not actually do any nudity, because that was all around the kind of sex tape era and stuff like that. If she would have really owned it and then just kind of, not that there's a lot to show or anything, but it would have at least kind of, in my opinion, kind of taken the power back for her and would have just been like, oh, you're going to make fun of, this leak tape and everything. Here's me going out and getting paid, a decent amount of money to do it on the big screen as an actor, kind of thing. I figured she would have done that, but no, she went the coward way.
A tour knit turtleneck over some upcycled vintage bib overalls. And he just ties this all together with this "your face is my face now" vibe.
Your face
Hashtag
is
gag.
my face.
It reminds me a lot of this look Otis donned in House of a Thousand Corpses. Bad
I hate House of a Thousand Corpses. I hate most Rob Zombie films, but then again, who doesn't?
news, your dad's dead. Good news, your new daddy is absolutely slaying this look. I love the edgy bohemian rustic look to the animal mask from You're Next.
Oh, sometimes these masks are so scary. They scare me at the night, and I don't get to sleep very well. Do not scare me, little masks.
It reminds me a lot of The Wicker Man, just a classic, all-time demure look. Last but not least, bring back the rotted pig head mask from Saw. This thing did not get nearly enough mileage.
That is 100% correct. You don't think about that, do you? Well, where'd the pig head go? They had the pig head a whole bunch in that movie, and then all of a sudden, man, no pig head. Pig head gone. Ridiculous. Bring back the pig head. We got 17 more Saw films in it. You know you do. Bring back the pig head.
Boho chic avant-garde look for the ages. Oh, Kermie! Yes, Piggy. You can blow my house all the way down.
Oh, yeah.
An adult drama, a 2-hour movie about adults talking, will not make a nickel in a movie theater anymore. And the saddest part about that, where I think your theory is right and where I believe in this, is if that movie was in a theater, adults are more likely to pay to see a movie and sit in the dark room with no phone.
You would think that, wouldn't you? You would think that, but as an adult who goes to the theater much more than your average adult would, I'm here to tell you, boys and girls, that ain't so. Adults are as big, if not bigger, D-bags than children are in these things, because everybody is just like, hey, I'm here and I get to do whatever I want kind of thing. It's ridiculous. I think the reason that those movies don't make money ultimately is because, number one, they're back out on home video in just a couple of weeks. So that's really fast. They don't have to worry about that. And if they're not going to spend all that kind of money going out, they're not going to do it. And that comes down to pricing. As does it every single time that I'm talking about it. It comes down to pricing. If your pricing structure is bad, you're going to lose out. And no one wants to pay, what's ultimately, like, if you go to 2 tickets, popcorn, drink, soda, and everything, 60, 70, 80 bucks and stuff like that for a movie that they're not 100% sure they're going to like. That's ridiculous. They're not going to do it. So get the prices down and get people actually back into the theater. You're a volume business, theater. You need to realize this.
Than a 20-year-old or a teenager. They don't want to sit in the room for 2 straight hours. They definitely don't want to not be on their phone for 2 hours. It's like a spiritual.
Again, I say lock up the phones, man. Lock up the phones like they do in the comedy clubs. Force people to sit there and reckon with the art. I know that sounds like a wacko statement, but I think it's very, very true.
Death to a teenager today to not have their phone on for 2 straight hours.
Then off with their heads, say I.
It's time for part 2 of my running series talking about premium movie theater formats and giving you advice on when I think it's worth spending the extra money to go.
All right, well, this is very good. Now, I haven't seen a part 1 here. I was sent this by Alex. So, Alex, I know you're in the chat right now, so I am reacting to this. You're welcome. I have seen movies in, I don't want to say every format. That's not necessarily true, but I've seen them in a wide variety of formats, and I specifically choose them when I do, depending upon a couple different situations. So let's find out what some of our differences are.
To one of these theaters. My first video, which is tagged below, was about IMAX, the grandfather, the top of the pile of premium cinema experience.
I'm sure they'd like you to think that. I don't know that I would necessarily agree. I don't know, at least that I haven't been to. I can say this. I think there are trade-offs with every single type of theater that you go to. FOMAX, regular IMAX, the Dolby Cinema like this. Most of these places, to one degree or another, has trade-offs, and they're not good trade-offs. A lot of the trade-offs, the number one that you're going to see is that these screens are 185. They're 185 screens, and they're showing a lot of 235, 240 movies. So there's black bars on top and bottom. There's no masking or anything, and it makes the screen much smaller. Ultimately, because a lot of these things aren't, in purposely built, specialty houses. It's a retrofitted from one of their original houses. They just made the actual screen top to bottom as opposed to, cutting off earlier. So you have to have this kind of wider, top to bottom format here and everything. So you have the black bars on top and bottom. It's not great. So and again, when you go to the traditional IMAX, if you're like going 70 millimeter true IMAX where it's like 6 stories tall and everything, if you're doing that, then you have that giant trade-off again of you've got just pretty much a square. It's worse than the Dolby theater. It's square. So if you're watching a 235 movie that every occasionally once in a while opens up to the full IMAX, well, the full IMAX is going to be great. That's going to be an amazing experience. And it is an amazing experience when it happens. But when it's not there, guess what? Shunk. It shuts down and there is so little picture comparatively. It's nuts. So it can be a little bit jarring. So I don't know that I would say that IMAX is top of the top. I don't know that I'd say that there's a single particular format out right now that I would say is heads or tails above everyone else. I think there's trade-offs everywhere you look. And even in Dolby cinemas like this has that same sort of deal where, you got black bars on top and bottom, no masking. Pissed off about it. Thank you very much.
And if you want to know why I say it's the best of the best, go watch that video. Today, we're talking about the second best option, which is still really incredible, and it is a Dolby Cinema. So what is different about Dolby Cinema? What makes it special? Why is it worth at a greater ticket price? Dolby Cinemas utilize HDR technology and Dolby Atmos technology. And with that...
And to me, those are better gains than your average FOMAX. Because when we say IMAX, we are mostly talking about the FOMAXs. We aren't talking about the real ones because the real ones are pretty few and far between. Like the closest one to me, and I live in, one of the top metro areas here. It's still, 4.5 hour drive from me. It happens.
You get an incredible bump visually and audibly. The first thing you're going to notice is the Dolby Cinema theaters are basically the same size and same aspect ratio of a standard theater.
Sometimes. Again, it all depends on what you're doing because the screen that you're showing right here is not a 2.4 to 1 screen. It's just not.
Now, what's great about that means any movie that comes out is going to take advantage of that screen and fit the screen and the whole thing.
Not necessarily. Again, you're looking at the wrong size screen here. You put The Godfather on this screen and you're going to have black bars on top and bottom. That's the beginning, middle, and end of it. I don't know what he's talking about here. I'm not saying that there aren't some Dolby Cinema screens that could have actual scope screens that they could then mask and everything, but I'm also going to say that I don't think that that's the case normally.
Should you?
Because theaters are getting cheap, dude. That's what it is. Theaters are getting cheap as hell. They don't want to don't want to put in extra money for the masking and stuff like that. Why? Because it's a little bit of something extra. It's something that could go wrong. I understand where they're coming from, but they're stupid.
See a drama there or a comedy? We'll get to it. Let's talk about what makes it great. The first thing is the HDR technology. What that gives us is a much wider color gamut. You get more variety of color. Let me show you.
Correct.
Taking a look at this image compared to standard, the standard image looks great. But when you see what you can have with...
And this goes for your home as well. If you got, HDR on your television as well, that's why you have that within, your high definition TVs and stuff like that. That's same difference here.
Dolby Vision, it really starts to make a difference. The other thing that's not really shown here is black levels. You can get good black levels in pretty much any theater, but...
Depending. Most theaters don't change their bulbs enough in their projectors and everything. If we went to laser projectors, we'd have a lot of our theater problems solved, but that's expensive. The only person I think that can really get that into gear is James Cameron. If James Cameron said, hey man, I'm bringing out this next Avatar movie, and the only way that you're playing this Avatar movie is on a laser projector. That's the reason why they're digital projectors now. It really is because of Avatar. He came in and said, hey man, I'm doing Avatar. This is going to be the only way that we're seeing it. We're not putting out 35 millimeter. And so everybody changed over because they knew James Cameron movie was going to hit, and God bless him, he hit hardcore there. So they did it correctly. James Cameron, if you want to change the world again, my friend, how about you just put out the edict that everybody's got to have laser projectors? Do us all a favor, Jimmy. We deserve it.
In a Dolby Cinema, when you have something that's black on screen, it's black. It's not gray. It's not kind of black. The blacks aren't crunched. If the entire screen goes black, you'll be in a dark room. You get the best black
They
levels
say
of
that.
any-
That's and there's even a deal when they do the Dolby Digital thing, the little Atmos and it's an Atmos demo and the HDR demo and stuff like that. And at the end, the theater, the projector goes to black, and then a little thing pops up and goes, yes, the projector's still on. And if you're somebody that's like me, you can it's super dark, but come on, you can see the projector's on. Get out of here, Doc.
Theater, better than IMAX also, in a Dolby Cinema. And it is because of the HDR technology. It's a 12-bit color presentation.
It's so much brighter than all of your other stuff too. That's the big difference. Is the laser projector stuff makes all the difference in the world.
And it's also up to 100 nits of brightness. Now,
I bet it's much higher than 100 nits.
You don't really need to know what a nit is, but just for comparison's sake, a standard theater maxes out at about 48 nits. As I said, the Dolby Cinema maxes at 100 nits. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be at 100 nits brightness for the entire movie. It's kind of like when you're watching an IMAX movie and it's in standard format, and then suddenly it pops to the full IMAX format and it just engulfs you. When that brightness hits, when those pops of 100 nits level brightness hit in a Dolby Cinema, especially when the blacks are so dark.
The place that I saw the craziest HDR highlights and everything was in the Sphere in Las Vegas. I was blown away. I have never seen specular highlights just damn near burn your retinas out. They were so bright. I don't know what those things were at, but it was amazing.
It's a huge impact. This will happen in explosions, or if you're watching a science fiction thing or a superhero thing, maybe in the use of power or lasers or something like that. It's not in there the whole time. It's in there in pops. The other thing that makes Dolby Cinema special is the Dolby Atmos sound technology. Mm-hmm. You get speakers in the ceiling, and you have tracking technology that tracks everything moving on screen and pushes the accompanying sound.
Now, hopefully, if the movie itself is mixed correctly, and that's the thing, it all depends upon how they've engineered this thing. It could literally have Dolby Atmos and all these other things, and they only sprinkle in a couple of Atmos things, or they're only very locational, and they don't, swoop anywhere and stuff like that. It all depends on what they kind of, poop out at the end product there. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are just boring as all get out.
To the right speakers. Now, we've had that forever with 5.1 audio. You'll have something that whooshes around the screen or hits the subs or whatever, but Atmos adds those ceiling speakers. So if it's raining, the rain will sound in the speakers correctly. You will be immersed that way.
And that's another problem that I have with some of these the Atmos trailers and stuff like that, where they never quite turn it up loud enough to when the rain is coming, it doesn't sound nearly as loud as it should. And when the bass hits, it's not nearly as hard as it should. These guys, they need to step up their games. I hate to say it, but pound for pound, I'm kicking their butts over here with my home theater.
Visually, the screen is not big enough to immerse you more than any other screen.
It is if you sit up close. That's what I'm so tired of people not understanding. It's like, oh, you want to get a bigger screen? Move your ass right up to the front. I sat in the very front row of a Fomax to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey. It was like this. And you know what? It's great.
But the sound will definitely immerse you. If there's bass in the movie, your seat will rattle. It's an incredible experience.
And sometimes, depending upon which kind of Atmos place you got, or what their cinema specificities are for wherever you're at and everything, some of those places have little butt kickers in the seats and stuff as well. I'd rather just be shaken by the bass within the actual subwoofers of the theater and stuff like that.
So when is the right time to see a movie in Dolby Cinema?
Is the right time.
The weakness of Dolby Cinema is it is only as good as the source material provided.
Well, that's any of these films, though. I mean, that's any movie. You can put, the Gold Rush up there. I mean, it's a fine film, but it's going to look about the same no matter what theater you put it in.
So what you're looking for is a film that has very high visual and audio fidelity. Superhero films, action films, stuff like that.
But that's the thing, though, too. Those are going to be the types of movies that are shown in the Dolby Atmos here. You're not going to see, Sense and Sensibility back out in Dolby Digital or anything.
Really what you want to focus on. Dramas, comedies, lower budget films, not worth the money in a Dolby Cinema. But if it's a
But they're
big
not usually out there,
blockbuster
so you won't
action
really have
movie,
to worry about that.
you can't go wrong with Dolby Cinema. Especially if you're in an area where you don't have good access to an IMAX, Dolby Cinema is a really great option, but not for every single movie you go to. I wouldn't even say a Dolby Cinema would be great for like Blumhouse horror films.
It's fine. I mean, depends on if you want to spend that extra money, but I don't know.
Because they are lower on the budget scale, the sound isn't going to be as immersive, and the image is...
listen, they don't got a lot of money, but sometimes they can make it up in sound and stuff like that. I wouldn't put that past. The soundtrack for The Invisible Man, the Blumhouse remake and everything, kicks ass. Real good Atmos sound.
It's really not going to pop in the way something like big budget Marvel movie or A Quiet Place maybe would.
Yeah. Well,
now remember, if you're watching something with a lot of CGI and it's cheaper CGI, because the contrast level is so much higher in a Dolby Cinema, you're more likely to pick out those CGI backgrounds and things. It's going to stand out to you more. So that is
So stop watching those Asylum films in Dolby Atmos, okay? They don't need it.
A little bit of a disadvantage. But imagine a movie like Twisters. Twisters is shot for IMAX.
Oh yeah.
So I recommend seeing Twisters.
I don't give a shit about that. Like, to me, that like shot in IMAX is a whole bunch of malarkey. Ultimately, what shot in IMAX means for most people, shot in A, digital IMAX, and B, it's just open matte. It's open matte versus matted, and like la di frickin' da. In most digital workflows and everything, those spots are there anyways. Did you need an IMAX camera for that? The answer is no. You didn't. You could just open up that frame and be like, that's IMAX. Shut up.
In an IMAX. But if you don't have an IMAX and you do have a Dolby Cinema, the sound mix is probably going to be pretty phenomenal. So if you have any other questions about Dolby Cinema, hit me in the comments. We can certainly talk about it. If you want to see the other premium formats, I'm going to cover them all. Hit that like button, hit that follow button, and join me tomorrow for...
I want them to show the one that's got like the video that's like the wall that's on the left and the right of the screen and everything. I think some Regals have it. I don't know what the hell they're calling it, but it's like it's literally on the walls to each side of you. It's on the screen, and then that like it branches out and goes all the way around the sides. Like it's like it looks like a shitty version of CinemaScope or Vista Vision or something like that. Alex says, I always thought that Dolby Cinema was just about the sound. I have learned a lot just now. No, exactly. There is a lot that's going on with it. It is like kind of it's a special specification, much like THX. Would you recommend seeing Superman in FOMAX or in a Dolby Atmos theater? I would probably, gosh, it really all depends. The closest IMAX, the closest FOMAX theater to me and everything is a bit old. It's a bit worn down, I think, at this point. I could go up to another one that's up at AMC as opposed to a Regal. But it's like, I'm looking at like an hour drive up there for that. Not to say that I haven't driven long distances for films and stuff like that, but it's and the other IMAX and Dolby Cinema are actually in the same the same theater that's 45 minutes away. So I could do either one. If it were up to me, it's a coin flip, man. It's a coin flip. I'd probably go the IMAX. I'd say go IMAX just because you'll have the kind of like, frame that goes open and stuff like that. That's my guess. Check that out. Let me know either way. Oh, my nose itches. Sorry, I am not on the drugs. Not that kind, at least. I'm on Dimetap.
Part 3.
Time for us all to start being brutally honest about what Brad Pitt is as both an actor and a man. Start with the...
All right, here we go. This should be interesting. This guy's been courting a little bit of controversy on the TikToks here and everything. Some people love him. Some people hate him. I feel like he's about to start talking some shit about Brad Pitt, so let's see what we got.
Actor side, because Brad Pitt is and has been the personification of style over substance for most of his career. Now, to be...
All right, let's hear him out.
Very clear about my thesis statement here. What I said in the last video was Brad Pitt has never been an S-tier actor. He has never been one of the best actors in Hollywood. Does that mean he's a bad actor? No. Does that mean he wasn't a good actor? No. Does that mean he hasn't had spectacular performances? No. But you can go back to Brad's breakout moment in Thelma and Louise and you can understand exactly what Brad Pitt was. He is as he was portrayed.
He's a good-looking guy. Are you saying that there's no use or no place for good-looking guys in Hollywood? I got news for you. We need him. He's not the worst actor in the world either. Trust me, there's far, worse actors that are good-looking dudes than Brad Pitt. I can tell you that much. But let's hear what he's got.
He was a sex symbol. He was not a great actor. There's a differentiation there I'm trying to get people to look at because he will never be mentioned with the Daniel Day-Lewis's, with the Viola.
Who would do that, though? Who would do that? You compare like actors. You don't compare actors, that with other. That doesn't make any sense. That Ben Affleck is no Clark Gable. Well, yeah, no shit. They're completely different things. That's not who Brad Pitt is. That's not who Brad Pitt, shows himself to be to anybody. I don't know. Do you feel like Brad Pitt's saying something different?
Davises, with the Kate Blanchetts, with the Philip Seymour Hoffmans, with the Joaquin Phoenixes, with the Tilda Swintons.
No, he's not. And you know what? I think if you'd asked him, I don't think he would answer. I don't think that he would put himself anywhere near those category of actors either. They're different kinds of actors, right? What am I missing?
He will never be that. He is not Olivia Colman or Ralph Fiennes or Edward Norton.
Okay, we get it. You know good actors. What do you have a point to make?
Or Gary Oldman. Go without saying he will never be Denzel Washington.
No, because he's not black. We got it. What is your point?
He'll never even be Francis McDormand.
Oh my God! No kidding. Make a point.
Through Brad's early career, these roles are based around sex appeal. Stuff like Legends of the Fall, Interview with the Vampire. Are there outliers where he's working outside of his comfort zone like 12 Monkeys? Absolutely.
You'd almost say if it was like if he got better material to work with, you might see some better stuff. You've just shown 2 movies back to back here where he gives absolutely terrific performances. You want to know why? Because David Fincher and Terry Gilliam are not amateurs.
Think about movies like Seven. You're not going to tell me there aren't a bunch of other actors that could have done the same exact thing. Nobody specifically thinks about.
All right, I'm going to keep that thought to myself.
About Brad Pitt's performance when you talk about Seven. You talk about the story. You talk about Kevin Spacey, unfortunately. You talk about the twist. I think
You talk about him in that movie. What are you talking about? He's fantastic. It's one of his great scenes of his entire career. The what's in the box. What are you talking about?
Club works so well for Brad because Tyler Durden is the personification as well of style over substance, the type of masculinity.
But you would not be able to play that if you didn't have a level of skill in your pocket. You can't just be a cool guy and all of a sudden be thrown into a film. If you threw David Beckham in this role, he would shit it up 6 ways to Sunday. I get it. Maybe you don't think he's the best actor in the world, but I get it. He's not Daniel Day-Lewis, but he's not. I mean, I don't get it. He's not that terrible of an. What are you talking about?
The image here that he's presenting is kind of what he's presented as an actor.
I think that's what you just see him as. I think that you have a preconceived bias and stuff. I'm looking at your age, and I'm guessing you probably saw Fight Club when you were probably 13, 14, maybe a little bit younger than that even. And that's your opinion of this guy, is that you've got Fight Club Brad Pitt in your head, I think.
Meet Joe Black is an outlier for Brad. I think this is a masterpiece of.
Oh my God! And you think Meet Joe Black is good? Meet Joe Black is an utter piece of garbage, my guy. What are you talking about? Meet Joe Black might be Brad Pitt's worst film. What a wild take.
Romance, although a lot of this still is based around his looks, but it is a great performance with some layers to it. I also would say,
man, you are dead ass wrong. That movie's awful, and he's awful in it. Everyone's awful in that movie. Ugh.
Snatch, which came soon after, is another example.
Another example of great ass acting. It's not the same acting that he's doing in everything. He's still a pretty boy and whatnot, but he was a disgusting man who was, sitting over there in the trailer park and everything. He had an accent. He was doing work as an actor. What is your beef? Why complain about Brad Pitt like this?
Of Brad really trying. Still, Snatch is another movie very reliant on his aesthetics. Ocean series is really just about chemistry between actors. These guys are friends. That kind of
Oh my God, it's almost as if you get the appropriate people for the appropriate roles and stuff like that, and things turn out well. Huh.
Leads through. It's a very laid-back performance. Brad Pitt is not being challenged as an actor in the Ocean series.
You've got 11 characters in the first one, 12 in the second, 13 in the next one. Everybody's got to have a different feel, man. What do you want from him? What do you want from Brad Pitt in a fucking Oceans movie, my guy? Do you want Daniel Day-Lewis in an Oceans film? I mean, I would like him as a villain, but do you think that Daniel Day-Lewis is going to be in Danny's 11? Is that what you think is going to happen? No one wants that. Again, I think we'd want him as a villain, but get real, dude.
Troy is yet another movie where he is defined by a look. I enjoy this movie. It is.
I think you got a secret crush on him at this point. At this point, I feel like you're just like, listen, he's just so handsome. I can't take him seriously. I'm just looking at him. I get lost in his eyes.
Silly. It is campy. A lot of his delivery is really fucking bad. Remember, and
the whole movie's really bad, so I don't know that I can really blame him. Troy's not a fantastic movie. Come at me.
Gravitate towards the look of the character of Achilles. Brad looks fucking awesome in this movie. You can't deny that. He considered an S-tier actor to be remembered as an all-timer and mentioned with those other folks.
No one, who's doing that though? Who's saying he's an all-time actor? Point me to the people that are making these accusations. This is the problem that I've got with this kind of, TikTok of. It's like there's accusations, but who's making them? Who's saying these things? Point them out to me. I want to see where these people are saying, Brad Pitt is one of our greatest thespians that there ever was. He's really, really good and should be seen alongside all some of the greats. Olivier, Brad Pitt. That's right. Basically the same person. No one's saying this, man. No one's saying that.
You have to give more. I mentioned it in my last video. This movie is an example of Brad Pitt going above and beyond, giving more, and being truly memorable as an actor. There's so much more shit that anybody could do, like The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, with the dreadfully boring and disappointing Killing Them Softly. I even think a ton of other actors.
I just don't think he likes him, man. You either love him or you hate him. I'm not sure which it is. I think you hate him. I just don't. I think you don't like him. I think you think he's a pretty boy and that he's no actor. And there are pretty boys who are no actors, but sometimes those pretty boys can fool you and actually go, oh look, shit, they're actually really good actors. It happens.
Could have done what he did in Moneyball, and I love that movie. So much stuff, like for example, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that is reliant on him bouncing off of someone else, whether it be a male in friendship or a woman in regards to their chemistry. This, ironically, was with the woman he would end up allegedly abusing. After that abuse, he would run.
And the other shoe drops, ladies and gentlemen. The other shoe drops. Well. Isn't it fun that we get to show ourselves and show our colors in front of everybody? My. Okay, so that's what you've got a problem with. Brad Pitt has some abuse things or other allegations and stuff. It's Hollywood. It's crazy. There's stupid people out there. I think we all know that. But that's where your problem. You don't give a shit about his acting. You give a shit about his personal life. Get out of here, dog.
Back to the man that he made this movie with, Quentin Tarantino, for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he kind of put
and there was another problematic thing. Here it comes.
Puts it on cruise control. Nothing special about his performance there. There's nothing special about his performance in Babylon. Same year he made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think he made a fairly unappreciated movie in Ad Astra. We fast forward to today, and he is fucking awful in F1. This is a straight up.
You may not like what he did in the movie. Is he awful in the movie? What's he doing? You can say that he didn't do a whole lot. You could say that like his range wasn't there. That's perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable critique and everything. But you say that he was awful in the movie? In what way was he awful? Maybe unforgettable, maybe not memorable. That's certainly there. Is it a good performance? You can say it's a bad performance. I just don't understand. Like what was he doing in the movie that so offended you? He was practically quiet and just pruning. It was this face the entire time. What's your complaint?
Bad performance. He appears to be cooked. The movie manages to succeed in some ways around him, but like I said, he's holding it back. More important than
What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do?
any of this is the part that just does not get talked about enough, and that is all the allegations against.
Here it comes. Told you she was coming back. Told you. Who gives a shit? That's not what we're talking about here. If you want to argue the man's merits and, things outside of movies, you can have that argument, but that's not what this is. I understand that you don't like certain things about his, life and whatever. I get that. That's fine. But what the fuck does that got to do with anything? Keep that personal shit out of it. And that shouldn't be the thing that clouds your, judgment on something. Look, Roman Polanski had a bad thing, but you know what? I'll still watch a Roman Polanski film. I'll just do it with the memory that I know what's going on in there. But I can separate artist from artist, art from artist and stuff like that. Apparently this guy can't.
Brad Pitt, which saw Angelina Jolie divorce him 5 days later and fractured his relationship with all of his children. The reason his older kids are changing their last names, and he struggles to connect with the younger one.
Now I've become TMZ. I've gone from movie critic guy to guy who's talking about people's personal life. Who gives a shit?
The reason the FBI was investigating him because the crew of his own plane talked about this shit. If you have not read any of this, go read it. Go read every single bit of it. Just because he was not prosecuted, did not go to jail, does not make any of
tell that to Matthew Broderick.
this less real. There's a reason he got that reaction from his children, from Angelina Jolie.
Oh, because mothers have never weaponized their children against fathers. That's never happened before. Well, it's a good thing that we live in a world where things like that never happen. So surely that there's no other side to this tale.
Angelina's countersuit against him is still going on to this day. Don't believe Angelina for some insane reason. Believe the words of his son. Happy Father's Day to this world-class asshole. You time and time again prove yourself to be a terrible and despicable person. No.
Jesus Christ. Why? I mean, like, seriously, why do you care, dude? Why do you care and then care enough to put it into this video? I'm starting to think Strawhead Goofy might be right, and I can't believe I'm saying that shit.
Consideration or empathy towards your 4 children who tremble in fear when you approach. You never understand.
I'd be trembling in fear every time one of these TikToks comes up if we're going to go into this fucking shit every time.
The damage you've done to your family because you're incapable of doing so. You have made the lives of those closest to me a constant hell. You may tell yourself in the world whatever you want, but the truth will come to light. Happy Father's Day, you fucking awful human.
You can tell that I don't watch all of these because I didn't watch this. I don't know that I would have included this if I would have known he was going to rap on like this.
Human being. Does any of that change any of his past performances?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't change anything. It does to you, and we understand that that's what you see. But guess what? To the rest of us, he's just Brad Pitt. We don't give a shit. Just like we didn't give a shit about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise did a lot of crazy shit in those Scientology days and everything, jumping on the couch, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. But guess what? When he started to shut up, we didn't give a crap. Because at the end of the day, we just want a movie. We don't give a damn about their personal lives. Please stop trying to make anything. Who gives a damn? It is so much better when we know absolutely nothing. People prefer not to know that Fatty Arbuckle killed a lady. You know what I'm saying? Good grief. Who gives a shit?
No. Should you be aware of it? Should you know?
No. Who cares? You can be partially aware of it, but if it's going to become 3 minutes of your TikTok, then geez, I'm crow.
This stuff, should you care about it? Yes, you should. Is it simply not talked about?
Yeah, call your congressman.
About honestly enough. Just as I feel his career is not given an honest appraisal enough. And has
oh my God, because he's the arbiter of all of this garbage. You get that right.
Chosen a lot of good movies to be in. Very rarely is he the best thing about the film.
Please, for the love of God, I want this man to act in something. Act in something. I don't care if it's a 30-second bubblegum commercial. I want to see you acting in it, my friend. Unbelievable. The ego. My word. To backdoor an entire argument and shroud it in movie talk. I don't know how many more videos he's going to be getting from me unless it's more like asshole ripping like this one. God, let's get to something else. Holy cow.
Today on this series of Defending a 5 out of 10 movie, we are going to be talking about one of the more frustrating in this category, Fall.
Okay, I saved this TikTok because I wanted to talk about this. I remember seeing like the beginning of the trailer for this, and they sold me with the idea of people climbing up one of these big giant towers and stuff, and then something going wrong, and I closed my eyes from the rest of it. I didn't want to see none of it. And I didn't get to see it when it came out in the theaters for whatever reason, but it did come out on digital, and then one day it went on sale. And I don't buy movies on digital, but it was so cheap that I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to check this out. It was like $5 or something like that. And I got to say, in the home theater with the big 5.1.2 surround sound and everything, this movie is awesome when that wind is flipping around and you've got the sound coming from everywhere. It is just holding on to a thing. And again, the bigger screen that you have, the more kind of like woo feeling that you're going to get from it. I like this movie. I'm going to see what his take is.
Frustrating in the sense that this movie has all the potential to be a good movie, but instead is buried under a pile of cliches and CGI'd out swear words, apparently.
On this stupid freaking tower in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Despite all that, I do think
I didn't notice that when it came out, but I mean, okay.
There are some enjoyable aspects to this movie, and these are my top 5 of those. To start off easy, we have at number 5, this shot. Oh my goodness, this is such a good shot. Whenever the movie isn't being deliriously overwritten, I think it lets the cinematography speak for itself.
Not gonna lie, it is a little bit overwritten. But I think that's for dumb audiences today. I think dumb audiences need to have their hands held
in some really effective ways. Which brings me to my number 4. The acrophobia in this movie is palpable. Some of the best moments of shaky knees I've ever had in
these girls going up here and just be like, I'm gonna just hang off of this for a while. Isn't this fun? No, it is not.
Theater.
Insane, crazy.
The drone stuff is a little bit crazy. You're just like, there's the high winds up there with that. I don't know about all that.
All thanks to my number 3, which is the top-notch special effects. And there's a bit of a qualifier on this because I do think the absolute worst special effects in the movie are right at the beginning, just proving my criticism that everything having to do with the husband character in this is awful. And number 2, a bit of a...
Well, he was kind of a douche. All right, he's going to spoil something, so heads up.
Spoiler in case you care at all, but I really enjoy the way that they send the text message out. It's a type of Hail Mary that feels very in character and also quite suspenseful in what it's trying to do. I also really don't have to
Yeah, exactly. It was a cool idea and stuff like that. It felt like the whole movie felt like something Hitchcock would do if he was like here in modern times and stuff like that. It's just like, hey, it's one location for the most part. We're going to keep these characters here and just have, you just worry about their psyche and stuff and things falling apart. And this old tower here is just kind of crumbling underneath their feet and whatnot, and it's them just going, are they going to make it?
My disbelief in order to buy it. And at number 1, it's the best but also most frustrating aspect of this movie, and that's the simple setup. I really cannot believe how overwritten a movie like this is when you have a setup of just being stuck on a tall radio tower to work with. It's such a good premise that whenever the movie isn't busy focusing on all of the nonsense plot points, the movie, perhaps ironically, really does pull you back down to earth. Oh, also, our 2 leads did pretty good.
Well, that cut off out in the middle of nothing. I agree. Listen, The Fall is a great movie if you want to just have 90 minutes worth of a good movie. That's just like that'll get you feeling tense. I enjoyed it.
I would love to know what kids today think of this movie.
Guess what? Irrelevant. I don't give a damn what those kids think. They can go pound sand for all I care. Don't care what your opinion is, kids. Oh, I don't think Back to the Future is good. Don't care. Your opinion's irrelevant. Though I will say this, I played it. I played a little bit of Back to the Future in front of some 6th graders there when I was doing some substitute teaching and some in some of that downtime and whatnot. A couple people actually knew the movie, so I was very proud of them to know the movie, seeing as how those kids don't know movies.
Back to the Future. Not just because we're coming up on the 40th anniversary of that film coming out, but Gen Z had a wildly popular cartoon that was a satire of it. And by the way, if some of you want to feel old, Rick and Morty has been on the air for almost 12 years. And everybody does know this, right? Like Rick and Morty is...
Can I tell you, I've only ever watched one episode of Rick and Morty. One. I watched the pilot. This was years after, of course, when everybody went bonkers, cuckoo bananas and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, let's see what everybody's talking about. I watched the pilot and I'm just like, this is it. This is what everybody's talking about. This is that great show. I showed it all about science. Okay.
Doc and Marty. But the thing that show was making fun of is something that was incredibly common in movies.
I don't like how everybody also thought that, like, if, you know, they watched Rick and Morty, that they were smart. You're not. You're not smart for watching a cartoon. You're dum-dums.
In the 80s, to the point that people my age don't even notice it, which is the idea of the wacky mad scientist inventor. Most movies from this era seem to have that character, and Gremlins, the dad, was an inventor.
Yeah.
If you watched movies back then, you would get the sense that that was common for people to make technology in their garages that was more...
We used to have men in this world, damn it.
...more advanced than what you could get on the shelf. It's not even treated as a plot point that the Ghostbusters know how to make nuclear-powered ghost-catching machines.
They're smart guys. We don't allow most characters to be smart anymore. And if we do allow them to be smart, they're women. And can't allow a man to be smart no more. And maybe it's because it's so stupid. I'm sorry.
Isn't that they can make them with just the stuff they have around the house. And obviously a time machine is not a real thing that exists, but the way it's powered in the film is with a tiny nuclear reactor that he just built himself in his garage. And that part of it is absolutely treated as something a guy could do on his own
if we wanted to. Men, is there anything we can't do? I suggest no. Look at all the inventions of the world. All the good ones are by men. What's the woman invention that changed it all? I like the dudes.
Was smart enough. Likewise, if you watch the Batman film from 1989, the fact that he's able to build all of his own gadgets on his own is not treated as something that needs to be explained.
No, he's a man.
Because everybody in that universe can do it. The villains are all inventors. They have gadgets that they built themselves.
We used to be a society.
In the first sequel, the Penguin is depicted as living in the sewer and still able to build custom gear for his penguins.
And then the penguins start building stuff themselves and start piloting little things. We used to be a country.
In kids' movies, it was routine to have a child who was an inventor, who had tons of gadgets around the house. And this was such a key part of the cultural mythology I grew up with. The idea that great inventions are made by one person in their home. I was told in school that one day Thomas Edison just came up with the light.
We got Rick Moranis and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids building his big shrink machine up in his lab. Guys just used to tinker, man. We used to tinker. Tony Stark built a suit of iron in a shed.
Light bulb from scratch. And it's interesting to see how newer adaptations acknowledge that this doesn't make sense.
Hey, we got military contracts that we can do here. Yeah, I mean that seems a little bit better than Bruce Wayne, wrenching on the Batmobile himself.
When they rebooted Batman with Christian Bale, they made it so that he was getting all of his equipment through his company. And Rick, in addition to being a cartoon character, is essentially magic. He's a superhero who can just grab items from other dimensions through his magic portal. Because even the famous old-timey inventors didn't just come up with stuff out of thin air. They were always part of a scene and were always iterating.
Some of them were emo. You didn't know that, did you?
On other people's ideas and designs. There were engineers all over the world trying to solve the same problems with flight, and also these guys had a factory where they could fabricate parts. But the lone genius inventor who can just make stuff on his own is such a cool thing to aspire to.
Isn't it though? I think that's part of the cool thing. I think we all want to be, or at least as far as guys, really all kind of want to be that, that mad inventor, that kind of smart guy that wrenches on stuff and puts things together. I think that's part of me for sure. What with home theater and stuff like that, I'm always kind of, putting things together, adjusting stuff, it's the hobby and whatnot. So, I think that's within our systems, man.
And I liked believing that the world was full of these geniuses toiling away in their garages and secret labs. Whereas that equivalent guy today would be making smartphone apps.
That's terrible. The Back to the Future equivalent is some guy who's making a dating app.
James Cameron's calling out Christopher Nolan, and I kind of agree with him.
Okay. First of all, James Cameron's opinions, boy, oh boy, hit and or miss with James Cameron here, man. Sometimes I'll be praising the man. Sometimes I will damn him straight to hell. Christopher Nolan, however, usually a little bit more on the good side, but let's see what we got.
Mommy, Daddy, please stop fighting. If you didn't know, along with making 900 Avatar sequels, James Cameron has also been developing a film adaptation of the book Ghosts of Hiroshima, a movie he promised a real-life Hiroshima survivor he...
What are you, Babe Ruth? Hey, little fella, I promise you, I'm going to make this movie and make billions of dollars for you. You do have to hold on 15 years, though, because I got a couple of Avatar movies to make.
Would make on his deathbed. James Cameron has said that this will probably be his lowest grossing project of all time because of lack of interest in the subject matter.
Dude, there's lack of interest in the Na'vi matter at this point, dude. I mean, like, listen, the second movie was better than the first one. I'll grant you that. That's only because a lot of the, back matter of the other one was gone and whatnot, and you actually focused on things and made, Jake Sully an interesting character that time around instead of like just a cardboard cutout of nothing. It still wasn't amazing. I haven't watched it again. It's not high up there. I just wish James Cameron would do something that was worth a damn. Maybe he should do this, Hiroshima movie or whatever the hell, wherever it's from. Maybe he should do that to get the juices flowing again, man.
To which an interviewer did bring up Oppenheimer, $1 billion at the box office, 7 Academy Award wins out of 13.
Would James Cameron have gotten that if he would have done Oppenheimer? I'm going to say no.
13 nominations. Clearly, at least in some form, there is interest. But James Cameron believes, as many do, that Oppenheimer failed to show one crucial part of the story it was telling.
You didn't know that Oppenheimer was quite the stand-up comedian. He worked really blue, so they didn't feel like it was going to be, worth it for this movie and everything because it would throw people off. But maybe for the director's cut. Maybe that's what James Cameron's going to do for us.
Effects of the bombs on the people of Hiroshima.
Oh my God. That wasn't the point of the movie. The point of the movie wasn't the effect. The point of the movie was the point of getting up to that particular point. Again, I hate up and down people that complain about movies that are like, this wasn't the movie that I wanted to see. I got news for you. It doesn't matter what you want to see. You can grade the thing that you were given, but you can't be pissed at a movie because it wasn't what you thought up in your head when you heard the title or whatever. It's not, you can't make decisions like that. Damn the movie if you must, but don't sit there and be like, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. It's not your choice.
Nagasaki. He said, yeah, it's interesting what he stayed away from. Look, I love the filmmaking, but I did feel it was a bit of a moral...
he's calling him a coward.
...cop-out. Because it's not like Oppenheimer didn't know the effects. I feel that it dodged the subject. I don't know whether the studio or Chris felt that was a third...
The movie was already 2.5 hours. Do you want us to spend another hour looking at the rubble? Come on, guy.
...rail that they didn't want to touch, but I want to go straight at that third rail.
Okay, we already guess what, Jimmy? We've already got that. It's called Godzilla -1, and it's a way better thing, and we don't have to be preached about it. We can just get an allegorical lesson through a monster movie. That's how we used to do it.
Christopher Nolan has said that his film lacks the Japanese perspective because it is firmly seated in the subjective reality of J. Robert Oppenheimer.
That's
but
true.
As James Cameron points out, and in fact the movie Oppenheimer points out, the effects of the bomb on those very real people, not just the potential of what it could do to...
Yeah, but it's all within the guise of his psyche and everything. These aren't things that he's actually witnessing. These are just the things that he imagines happening in his head. It's the guilt of those things coming at him.
More people weighed heavily on him later in life. The film plays with the audience's knowledge of the devastating effects of those bombs, but plays it kind of coy when it comes to showing specific devastation.
It showed us enough. I mean, it showed, like you just showed there, it showed people's faces peeling off and whatnot. And again, that wasn't the point of the film. It was the decision to do this. It was the journey to get there, and then what happened. but you don't know what happened leading up to that. And again, you can discuss that. You can go down that avenue in a different movie, but if that's not the movie that you're making, why are you bitching?
What do you think? Did Oppenheimer do a good job of telling the full story, or are you waiting for James?
First of all, no, I don't give a shit about James Cameron. It was, as far as I'm concerned, you lied to an old man on his deathbed. He's probably dead now, and you ain't gonna make that movie. I'm almost betting on it. Because, like, how many more Avatars we doing? Is he shooting them together? Is he going Lord of the Rings style and shooting 2 or 3 of them? I don't think so. Well, that battery died. That means we're about time for the rest of this here program. Let's get the rest of this
Cameron
shit.
to do a better job once he's done with Avatar 30.
All right, everybody. One more. Producer
Breaking news. This is the win that Hollywood's been waiting for. California just doubled down to bring productions back to the state.
Again, I tell you, they double it down, but if you're doubling it down and your prices are tripled, who gives a shit if you're doubling it?
Hi, it's producer Patrick bringing you the latest in the ever-evolving film and TV industry. The California State Legislature has officially approved a record-shattering $750 million annual film and TV tax credit.
But again, doesn't matter if your stuff costs 3 times as much. You can have tax credits and everything, and that's good. But like, you're still going to get tax credits plus cheaper prices on everything in other locations. So you will continue to go to those other locations. You're not going to fix it, Hollywood. You don't know what you're doing.
Double the previous cap. The Assembly approved a budget trailer bill on a vote of 64-1, while the Senate passed it 31-3. It's a lifeline for a struggling industry. Over 17,000 entertainment jobs have disappeared since 2022. And Los Angeles saw its second lowest production year on record. Other states and countries have been winning the content war with aggressive, uncapped incentives, while California's outdated cap left producers unsure and often unwilling to stay. Now, the new program hopes to change that. Supporters say this bill is about saving local jobs, keeping crews working.
But as you saw in Patrick's other video, yes and no. It might be. It might be if those things work out, but if they don't, guess what? We've got condos for homeless people.
And preventing the slow collapse of California's cultural cornerstone. But critics argue that even $750 million might not be enough. With an uncapped and inconsistent system, some studios may still choose to shoot elsewhere.
Again, all of those things are correct. And again, everything in your state costs twice as much. So your incentives will only dent just a little bit. They're intended to dent a lot. And if they're not denting, guess what? You ain't shooting there.
However, in Sacramento, the bet is clear. Invest big or lose the industry for good.
I think they're going to do the latter.
As always, would love to hear your thoughts.
Hello, Sir Patrick, coming in hardcore at the last second here just to let us know everything about Hollywood and how they're kicking down the trail of crappiness yet again. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the evening. Thank you so much for hanging out here. If you made some comments and whatnot, I really appreciate it. If you've liked and subscribed and done all those things, I like you even more. You're an awesome person. We really appreciate that. If you like the show and you like to support all the things that we do, and you want to do a little something extra, why don't you head on down to patreon.com/HMP. Join up at any level. You'll get all the good stuff, pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. We'll put your name here on the end credits of some of these videos and stuff like that. So it's a great deal, and you help keep this channel alive and us floating around as often as we do. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for showing up this evening, hanging out, dropping a like, dropping a comment, all those kind of good stuff. And we really appreciate it. On this week, actually, on HMP, we will be doing the Fantastic Four, the original Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie. We're going to be doing that, and we're going to talk about all the other Fantastic Four films leading up to the brand new Marvel one. And we're probably just going to die when that happens, because it's not going to be good, but we're going to do what we can. We're going to do what we can. So check all that out over there. And I think tomorrow, if things go the way that I'm looking, I think I'm going to check out the new Jurassic Park movie and maybe review that here on live stream tomorrow. So stick on by and check all that out. That'll do it, everybody. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next one.